If there's paper on a roll, I'm lucky in my house, that's all I'm gonna say.
It's like to have paper.
I have the engineering drawing for the toilet paper.
Oh, very good.
Oh, yeah.
Speaking of engineering, I
Yeah, there is a
recall in
patent on it, right?
There
Yep.
is.
our last meeting, you disparaged the Toyota Tundra.
The what?
The Toyota Tundra.
How
You said,
dare
quote,
you.
that's not a pickup truck.
It's not a real
I
truck.
drive a Tacoma.
Tacoma's fine. I have a Tundra,
Oh,
at least
so
two
you
people
would-
at this table have
That's where you would
Tundras.
toss your cans.
And mine
or
might have an engine
Yeah,
recall,
I
might
see.
need a
With the
new
loaded
engine.
bucket.
So
I see,
maybe,
I see, I see.
maybe you were thinking right there, Ed, I don't
Oh
know.
my God, you got a recall?
Yeah.
My
you
Tacoma
think
just
it's
had a
all-
recall too. Actually, the
all
back
22
axle
60?
apparently just
Or
separates.
is it just the?
Fine.
This is
Ooh.
2022.
No, I don't know. Just,
It's
driving
the first
around,
version
it
of
falls
something.
apart.
Isn't that a feature?
When they bored out
Yeah, hey, luxury.
engine, somebody forgot to tell the guy to
So-
clean out the bits. So I think 12 of the engines have failed out of, 200,000 they've
Yeah,
sold.
right, yeah.
But I might get a new engine or just hand it back to them. That's what I'm
Mm.
I like it other than
Small
that.
print's just
Yeah,
about-
yeah.
Oh, that's.
It's way better mileage than yours.
Way better.
I'm getting 21 miles per gallon.
I'm getting 16.
Woo, this neither
Maybe,
has the
on a good
seal.
I get 16 with the camper.
No, this is just about the building.
Where's
So
our?
this is really just to talk about this or this?
I believe so.
Okay.
5:45 exactly.
Thank you.
Much more than
Does,
Richard.
does,
We don't have our chairman.
And
He's
this
here.
Well-
I hear him.
and then question two is if we have our non-public.
Right.
at
Dana's
least she's
not-
Is
supposed to be
Dana here yet?
Have you seen the
He
cost
just
estimate?
rolled up.
Okay.
Shayna or Emery?
Have you seen the cost estimate?
I just saw it.
They came in like a half
It
hour.
just came in and I
Emery
had-
gets in here?
had
Yeah,
like
it's kind of, they're
Start
kind of
this?
worthless.
Yeah, because he has to start it.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
One of us has to start
So
it.
Yeah.
I don't think we'll spend a lot of time on that.
Emery? See who's out there? Oh, he just texted me, running 2 minutes late.
Okay, that's
2
cool.
minutes.
Lake conversation.
Well, this is the picture that showed up. I made,
You're in the front page.
I know. I made one comment the whole day.
I bet you were there on the picture. Yeah,
What was it?
At the transfer station,
Oh.
when we had the
yeah. That was in 22.
NRA come.
How old was Betty Perkins when she died? 100 and what?
100 and something.
I don't know.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Alan Perkins has a huge vegetable garden. He's out there every morning,
I
just,
bet. Well, Barbara's 99, right?
76?
Barbara
Is it
Nordine.
99?
99. I didn't
You can
know
come
she
in,
was
we'll
down
start. Emery's running a little bit late. Okay, Carl.
Oh,
there.
okay.
Fired up.
At 5:47, I will call the select board meeting to order on August 8th, 2024. And I'm going to make a motion to go into non-public under RSA 91A32A.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Did you say yes?
Bear, yes.
Schaefer, yes.
Prentice, yes.
All right, we are now in non-public at 5:48.
So I
Sorry.
Because you can't.
Trying to plan something in November,
Yeah.
not there, but something else.
We should probably go visit
Unlike
Vale
what
or
you
something.
do.
I can't get the time.
Here's how I know.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
Oh, in the summer.
Oh, what time?
No, I wanna do
Okay,
like
I got, let me just write this last bit.
6 even.
It's like,
I know,
this, yep, 6
the
even.
crowd's now.
yeah.
6 o'clock.
Yeah.
I make a motion to come out of non-public at 6 PM.
I didn't recognize you in your little.
Second.
You see in the crowd.
Oh, okay, because that happens.
Roll call vote.
Did you say yes?
Bear, yes.
Schaefer, yes.
Dan?
Prince, yes.
Roberts, yes. 5 yes, 0 no. We are not now out of non-public.
Could be worse.
Minutes not sealed.
Minutes are not sealed. Are there any changes or additions to the agenda? Shakora Lake Conservation. New business.
Excuse me.
We'll start off with the department head report with Chief Littlefield.
Good evening. Things have been steady, obviously through the summer, a lot of people around in the area, passing through the area. Not to jinx myself, or our department, but things have, more of what we're handling is just a lot of nuisance and petty calls, which are okay. I mean, they do eat up our time, take us away from doing reports or whatever, but I guess it beats having full-on large investigations that are complicated and so on and so forth, so, but it's been a steady summer for sure. I'll bring it up now or later, but PPD's been working the White Lake State Park details. They hire us just to hang out at the entrance because they get full. Over the summer they get to capacity and they're like in a reservation system, so on and so forth, and they have to turn away people, and the people that get turned away get very unhappy. So the last couple, or maybe 3 years now, they've hired details to sit out there. Anyway, and then Pete will break off from there and do an hour or two of part-time work. So on that note, I had mentioned back at the beginning of summer about raising our rate to be competitive with other agencies in the area. We currently pay our non-committed, I guess we could say, non-committed part-time positions, help $25 an hour. The area agencies are paying $30 an hour. So I would like to increase that rate. And I would like to do it retro to the beginning of July to cover the 11.5 hours that Pete picked up in July, which is $55 out of our budget to offset that.
Yeah.
So now,
Yeah, it wasn't working. It had to be
Oh,
restarted, sorry.
okay. So, and just trying to be consistent with what everybody's hiring at. I don't know.
And when that person's on detail, it's paid by the state park system?
Yeah, that portion's paid, and that's paid at the detail rate. And then when they shut down the detail, we'll do an hour or something after, just while he's here.
Mhm.
But anyways, that would be the rate. Like, if we were able to find other people to work in a part-time position like that, non-committed time, that we would be looking to do, so.
Did you call the position non-committed part-time?
I don't know if that's the right word. It's, like the
They
sergeant's,
don't have a regular
the sergeant has
schedule.
a regular schedule,
Mhm.
so her rate is a little different, and then we have, part-timers that we try to get to fill in. Essentially right now we're down to one part-timer. Hiring or trying to find good candidates has been tough, much like many other agencies throughout the state. We just really, we've had applicants, we've done a bunch of interviews that they either just didn't seem like the right fit, or they didn't meet the requirements, or they had disqualifiers that were disclosed during an interview, stuff like that. So still really haven't found anyone. As far as non-certified, we'd be looking at the Winter Academy. I think maybe it starts in December or January, if we were to hire non-certified and put them through the academy. I've had some certified spend my year here and there, but nothing has come through at this point. So, and then you can see like Madison just put out for their patrolman position that they're going to be looking to fill, and their starting rate for an uncertified was $30 an hour.
For uncertified?
And for an uncertified, and their certified rate for that patrolman position was $35 an hour, which is what they advertised, which seems crazy to me, but I mean, it seems to be the economy we're in and the competitive nature of trying to get bodies into departments and so on and so forth, so. it's everywhere, so I don't necessarily feel, it's just us. Belknap region, I know, like state police covers, you know, who is down in numbers themselves, they cover Carroll County and Belknap. So that one barracks covers 2 counties. And Laconia, you know, falls in Belknap and they're down in staffing tremendously, so draws a lot of troopers over that way and so on and so forth, so. I've been working on 3 grants that I think will, you know, kind of, I mean, in lieu of having officers or whatever, just help with some of the speeding issues or help offset some of the costs. The Office of Highway Safety has been, they want like 100% compliance with the state to have everybody online with submitting electronic complaints to the court, electronic crash reports, and electronic motor vehicle violations. We're on board with the electronic crash reports, been for a couple months now, I think. The complaints to the court, our court that we use, Ospey District, doesn't accept electronic complaints yet, so there's that. We've held off on the, what they call e-citation, motor vehicle violation, electronic submission, just because there was a cost to it, and the state didn't fund it completely. They're now funding it completely, so I guess dragging my feet paid off. So that's one of the grants. It's about $4,500 that they reimburse 100% on. That's total for all 3 cruises to have basically a printer. Anybody spent stock recently, they might got like a facsimile looking speeding ticket printed out from a cruiser. So the nice thing about it is it speeds up that time. We're already putting in the stop in our terminals. Now, you know, once we get to having the printers, it's just pushing a button to hit print. Whereas like we put the data into the terminal and then we sit there and we hand write out each ticket. So it'll speed up that process and make it more likely that citations will get issued. Sometimes you just don't have time to sit there and write a citation. So the other grant is a speed equipment grant, and there's 2 items I'm going to look to purchase. One is a post-mounted display radar sign, much like we already have. Basically the same thing as we already have. So it'll allow us to have 2 of them that we'll be able to rotate around and have in multiple areas at once. And the other one is a radar data collector, and it's just a little black box. And it allows us to put it out where we get complaints and to sort of validate those complaints. So right now, if we get a complaint in an area, you know, specific to a time or whatever, like we'll put an officer out there and try to see if the complaint's valid. And usually us sitting there doesn't, you know, we don't note the complaint. So if we put out a little black box, it's, you know, it's not a speed sign or anything, nobody knows it's there. But it'll actually, you know, collect the data, you know, how many vehicles, the actual size of the vehicle. So if the complaint is like, there's a bunch of, you know, tractor trailer trucks driving over the road, we can actually, it'll count the number of trucks. And it's bi-directional, where our sign, right, the radar signs are just one way. So it'll pick up traffic going both ways, and it'll pump out the data for speeds and stuff like that. And we'll know, like, okay, the complaint's valid, so we'll go out through those times that, you know, we need to. Those 2 items, they're around $4,500 a piece, and the state will reimburse up to 75%. So, and then the catch on that though is they want you to do speed enforcement grants, which means putting officers out on the road. I shouldn't say speed, because there's traffic enforcement grants, so they have like DUI, distracted driving, speed related, a couple others I think. So they want to, you know, have you commit to doing at least 8 hours in 1 year, in 3 to 4 hour block. of doing these enforcement grants, and they will pay the overtime costs of the officer, including benefits, or they will pay the part-time officer, like if Pete did it or something, they would pay the part-time rate. Which does include salaried employees like myself, so they will just figure out the overtime rate and include in the benefits, and they reimburse that at 100%. So I've put in for about 32 hours of that, in that grant, which will get reimbursed at 100%. So in total, I think you're looking at like 16 grand out of pocket, but all but 2,500 of it's gonna get reimbursed to the town. So I think it's a pretty good deal, and it helps in the areas that we need help with. So, and it's the speed, like in the grant I identify, Tamworth Road, Page Hill, Score Road, this cut through section as our primary objective to reduce, speed and so on and so forth. So we'll, go out and do like a 4-hour block specific to just that. And if we get called away to a call, we kind of stop our time and deal with the call, then come back and start our time again. And we get reimbursed for that 4-hour block at 100%. So it's a pretty good
That's
deal.
great.
Yeah.
I think it's worthwhile. And their fiscal year starts in, I think they get approval in October, so their end of October, something like that, their fiscal year starts. So we could actually expend funds out of this year's budget for like the equipment and stuff like that, if we have money in our budget, and get it reimbursed, so. And that's about it.
Any help you need from us?
By myself.
Do you need a motion to change the salary of the
Salary?
part-time
Yeah.
employee, or do you do that internally?
I think you have to change the rate,
Yeah.
motion to.
I make a motion, we increase the non-committed part-time police officer rate to $30 per hour.
Second. To your question, always trying to look at what people are looking for, that separates out us from other agencies or whatever. I mean, we aren't looking to give people canines to come here. We want them to work the schedule that we want them to work, not what they want to work. So that's tough. I mean, some agencies will hire warm bodies and throw canines at them and let them work whatever, and that's just not what we're about. But I do try to look at how can we be competitive in other ways. We did in the past have done tuition assistance, so it might be something in the future budget or something, or even if it's available in our budget to offer some sort of set amount, either per semester or total for the year or something like that helps with people. And I know one department down south, they also did it as if you had your degree, that they would pay that money out towards your loan. So direct payment to the loan. So food for thought, where I probably would need some support from the board to agree to something like that at some point if we go down that route.
Well, with the deficit in law enforcement in the state, I think out-of-the-box thinking is essential right now.
Yeah, we
That
try
looks
to
like-
look at other avenues of how can we have somebody that's not an officer, be helpful or but at the end of the day, we really just need that certified officer to provide the coverage and be available. I mean, unfortunately, you can't hire somebody to write your reports.
So we need a vote.
Any discussion?
No,
Any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll call vote.
Did you say yes?
Fair, yes?
Schaefer, yes.
Prentice, yes.
Roberts, yes. 5 yes, 0 no. Any questions for?
I have a question with the change to the agenda. That was an addition,
Yes.
Yes.
and is it under new business or old business? I don't see it down there.
It's it's gonna be a new business edition, but
Okay.
it's a quick thing I have to
So
share.
put at the bottom of the new business.
Sure.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yes, just a question on that motion, I didn't pay attention. Was there probably no language about retro?
Retroactive, I amend my motion retroactive to July 1st.
You read your, we have to go through the process again.
I would think so.
Second?
Second. Make it
Any
easy.
discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Did you say yes?
There, yes.
Schaefer, yes.
Prentice, yes.
Roberts, yes. 5 yes, 0 no. Thanks for catching that.
Yeah.
Anybody has anything for me? I'll leave.
Thank you, Chief.
Alright guys,
See ya.
thank
Thank
you,
you.
have a good night.
We'll move on to the maintenance supervisor, Rick Morrell.
Hello, everybody. Maintenance is jammed as usual. As you know, Leanne, working next door, recovering that area, so we'll be putting finance, welfare, or treasury, I should say, over here, as well as rec, and some extra space, so we're gonna gain this whole room back as an actual meeting room, so everybody here will have a place to sit, so.
I need more chairs.
Right, yeah, you guys love to tell me how you wanna arrange this
Yeah.
table.
Yeah.
Just don't change your clock.
If we wanna turn it around the other way or not,
Yeah, we'll have to have this up.
figure that out when it's
Yeah, we
done.
got from the committee.
So, my goal is by next week is to have them moved.
Oh, okay.
It should be
That's fantastic.
finished by then. Tomorrow, we'll be cutting windows and doors through to the exterior, so we're at that point now. And,
Need help moving stuff, let me know.
I will.
It looks amazing, Rick.
Yeah.
The
I
work
volunteered
you're
Carl too, but he's got new joints, so I won't.
Ah,
Um,
can supervise.
It's-
So there's that, and we were talking about the townhouse the other day. You did get a chance
Yeah, it
to
looks good.
take a peek at that. It's not complete yet,
Yeah,
but that's,
but it blends
it's
in.
still,
Oh, we'll see
getting
if it
there.
lasts.
Yeah.
It was a rotted sill and
Yeah.
whatnot.
Right.
yeah, so that's probably 90%. And we'll be painting those sills, the rest of them as well this summer.
Yeah,
Um,
there's one to the right of the door, it looks a little worn out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we'll put some time in on that this summer as well. Running a little behind, obviously the grass is still growing like crazy. So that's kind of bouncing everywhere, trying to keep up with that. So, this area out back, I think looks tremendous, with, now that the parking lot and the building is done.
Mhm.
It's come a long way. It's added a little time in my schedule with the mowing, but it's worth it. It's definitely, looks good, as long as it doesn't die out on us, so, after this winter. And we talked them into putting stone on the drip edge where it
Yeah.
drips versus the soil they had, because it was starting to migrate across the new asphalt. So, I think that was a great idea. Budgets looks good so far. Be getting the fields ready, soccer's coming up, I got a couple more weeks. I did manage to get like half of the soccer field taken care of before I wasn't counting on spending half my summer at the transfer station, but hopefully I get the other half prior to soccer season. Ball field hasn't seen much use. And I've been accumulating a mess from all the buildings down at the rec building, so that's been disappearing over time. In case anybody's noticed under the lean-to, there's been this, that, and the other thing stacking up. Yeah, and once I get caught up a little bit, we can move forward with upstairs, as we've been talking about.
Insulation,
Yes.
energy recovery,
Yes.
ventilator.
Yeah, hopefully by the fall, right.
Because I think we need signed contracts by the end of the year. on anything that was the last town meeting.
Yeah, we'll probably update who we're gonna choose and
Mhm.
go from there. Hopefully we can get it done this year.
Mhm.
So, on that note, if you don't have anything for me, I really need to go back to work.
He's not kidding, but yeah,
Thank you, Rick.
Rick's amazing work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right,
I think we're all set. Have a good night.
have a good night. If you hear any noise, it's just me.
That's right.
Moving on to the Boston Post-Cane proclamation.
There it is.
Oh, the actual cane, wow.
He said you should make it an actual thing. It's an event.
An event.
Yes.
Well, the event will be handing it to
Handing it to Barbara.
the new recipient.
So Barbara Nordine was, should I read this out probably?
Yeah, read it
Yeah.
in all the formal niceness, yeah.
Barbara Nordine was born in Marblehead, Massachusetts on July 1st, 1925, and Barbara Nordine was the second child of Lee and Mary Hildebrand of Marblehead, Massachusetts, where she lived during her childhood prior to her marriage to Howard Nordine of Nebraska. Barbara and her husband lived in Malvern, Pennsylvania, where they raised their children. Barbara and Howard moved to Tamworth in 1988, where they enjoyed their retirement. Barbara is hereby recognized with honor and distinction as Tamworth's oldest resident. Now, therefore, be it known by all persons present that the Tamworth Select Board is pleased to present Barbara Nordine with the Boston Post cane in recognition of her elite senior citizen status, given on this 8th day of August 2024.
Couldn't happen to a nicer person.
Can
He doesn't look a day over 70,
Is it
maybe
possible to
60.
It's amazing.
comment from the public? Comment from the public, is it possible?
Yes.
Couldn't happen to a nicer person.
It couldn't happen to a nicer person. We're delighted for Barbara, and I just wanted to note that the former Boston Post cane recipient and holder was revered by those of us who had the honor of working with her. Betty Perkins was 101, I want to say, on her last birthday. And Meals on Wheels, people who served meals to her were smitten with her, I think is the proper way to say it. She was just a lovely, lovely individual, full of grace and gratitude and humor. And we were all very saddened to learn of her passing.
Thank you.
2 weeks ago.
Did my best. We are going to move on to the appointment of Joseph Coco to the Traffic Safety Committee. Do we have any discussion or motion to be made?
I make a motion we appoint Joseph Coco to the Tamworth Traffic Safety Committee.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes. The first meeting of the committee has been scheduled for August 19th. I think it's at 6 o'clock, somewhere around there. I've told at least one member of the committee that I'll be there for the first meeting, just to answer any questions or provide moral support. I don't necessarily intend to be at all the meetings, but I figured we should have a representative at the first one.
Great,
Thank you. Any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Doucette, yes?
There, yes.
Schaefer, yes.
Prentice, yes.
Roberts, yes. 5 yes, 0 no. Moving on to tax deeding. So we are, I'm assuming this is a motion for the 2024 tax
So,
deed waiver.
yeah, I would say the motion would be to accept or
To issue the waiver?
issue the waiver, or accept the deed waiver.
We'll say to issue the waiver.
Issue the
To
waiver.
accept the tax deed waiver. We'll go with that. I make a motion to accept the 2024 tax deed waiver for map 415, lot 90, sublot 35.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Did you say yes?
Barry, yes.
Schaefer, yes.
Prentice, yes.
Roberts, yes. 5 yes, 0 no. Moving on, Shakora Lake Conservation.
I can do it real quick. Alex Moot reached out to me to just let the select board know that sometime they think at the very end of September, the Shore Lake Conservancy is doing a shoreland reclamation project similar to what they already did near the Grove, and they're doing it around the island shoreline and where the Tamworth only parking area is. And to do that, they're gonna need to close off the parking lot for the Tamworth only and also the lane that follows along the island. The island?
Yeah, they call that the
The
island.
island. They've had meetings with Richard Roberts. They went over to the area, they explained what project was gonna be done, but because of the big heavy equipment that's gonna be there, they really wanna close it off. Richard says that makes perfect sense. There'll still be public beach access, lake access, water access, from the Grove parking during that time. It's at the end of September, so not a lot of swimming water use, and it's before foliage, so it seems like a good time. Alex didn't know if we needed a vote to give them permission to close off because it
So
is
that's still a town road?
or if it was enough to have Richard do it. I said I would bring it to let everybody know.
We can very easily vote on it whether we need to or not, I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
What's the reclamation
it's,
exactly?
they're adding a lot of granite along the shoreline to keep erosion.
Yep.
Because they're losing trees and
Sure.
shrubbery.
I was amazed how much it cost too. They got a lot of fundraising. It's tens of thousands, I forget.
I thought it was like, I saw an email from the Shakora Lake
Yeah.
Conservation, it was like 100,000?
180,000, something like
Yeah.
that. It was huge.
And they've been trying to
That's a lot of
save money by collecting granite
Mm-hmm.
boulders people want off their property. But anyway, they want us to know, they've done their due diligence, we can make a formal
We know the
statement.
exact
They
dates.
don't know the exact dates,
That's-
we can wait for the dates, or,
Maybe we should wait, so, do you think?
Yeah, we can, another reading.
yeah. He's gonna let us know.
Just so when we make a motion, it has the dates.
Wait,
We can put it on
Look at your
the
email.
town website.
yeah, give me 1
I
second.
know, I got
Yeah, they were talking to the contractor, I think, to see what
Yeah.
dates that they could make.
Did you write today?
Nah,
And Michaela, do we have anybody that needs to be let into the?
no, for 1 to 2
No.
weeks this September.
Thank
That's
you.
all it said.
Yeah.
Alright. We'll wait for now, till next meeting and then
Yeah.
Yeah.
make a vote next meeting one way or another.
Yeah.
Just close it down for the whole month and then we don't have to worry about it.
There you go. We can also vote and just, and in the vote, say that as long as they contact the road agent and go through the channels with him.
No, that's-
I just don't want us to forget
Yeah.
to vote for it at the next meeting if we think we
Yeah,
have to
okay,
have a vote.
you wanna make a motion, we could do it that way.
I'll make a motion that the select board approves the closure of public access to Chicora Lake and the Tamworth resident only and the island for late September, so long as the road agent is informed and the select board is informed of the exact dates.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Did you say yes?
Barry, yes?
Schaefer, yes.
Prentice, yes.
Roberts, yes. 5 yes, 0 no. Thank you.
Thanks.
Moving on to old business, transfer station improvement project.
We have a couple of people from the NRRA, Northeast Resource Recovery Association, who I think are zooming in.
Do you want me to-
Bonnie and Pat.
Should I unmute them?
Yeah. Excuse me, Brian and Bonnie. There we are. So is it just you, Brian, or is Bonnie there as
Nope,
well?
nope, that's fine.
Oh, there she is.
Up here.
Great.
Wow. Oh.
So, as you folks know, you folks being the NRA reps and the people in the audience, we've been working on making improvements to our transfer station for a couple of years now. And one of the issues that keeps coming up that's kind of hard for us to pin down is the future operating costs of recycling facility. And also, are towns of our size, are they doing recycling? Because I think some people are of the opinion that we're maybe too small and don't have the volume. And it makes sense for us to turn to NRRA because that's the kind of stuff that you would know better than anybody else. So we've asked NRA reps to come here and talk about what do towns like our size do, in New Hampshire in particular, and any feedback you could give on that would be really helpful to us in our decision making. So I've asked them to be here and also just tell us who the NRA is, how long they've been around, and what they do. Take it away.
Okay, I'm Bonnie Bethune. I'm Senior Member Services Representative. I'm here with Brian Patino, who's Member Services Manager. NRRA has been around since 1981, and it's the oldest recycling nonprofit of its kind in the United States. And Tamworth has been a member since 1994, and thank you for that. We help municipalities. Our sweet spot is smaller municipalities that need assistance with their recycling at their transfer stations. And we do technical assistance, but we also do what we call cooperative marketing. So when there's cardboard to go out or aluminum cans to go out, we go to our markets and we get the best price, we get the best service for the area, and everything goes through NRRA. We do all of the negotiations with the vendors, we do all the payments, we do all the weight checks, we do all of that. We work with every commodity that the transfer station can produce, with the exception of textiles. We have a very extensive website that gives all kinds of information about fixing balers, buying balers, textile vendors, the whole gamut of what recycling centers do. We also do a great deal of technical assistance, just this sort of thing. We learn from one community and we can apply it to the next community. Tamworth, we had the privilege to go out for the last site visit we did, which is going on site, talking with the operator, got a chance to talk to Glenn a number of times, and just go around the transfer station and see what we can do together, what we could do more. We also did a very extensive, what we call a solid waste advisory team visit in 2022. And that was joined by Brian, myself, Brian's dad from Lancaster, Megan from Guilford, Carol from Wilton Recycling, and we sat around those plans that you people had brought up, and it was fascinating. We learned a lot. We were able to present some very practical ideas. So again, we learned a lot to be able to share back with you and to share with other communities as these things come up. So that's pretty much who we are. Is there anybody who has any questions about that part of it? Oh, I meant to mention dues. You all pay 8 cents a year to be a member of NRRA. I like to per person, 8 cents. So we're keeping it pretty reasonable. And you've got a staff of about 12 that's working on anything to do with recycling.
One thing you may not be aware of, Bonnie, is we've got a brand new supervisor. He started about a month ago.
I wasn't aware, no.
His name is Brian Gillespie, and I recently gave him a couple of links to your website. So we're hoping he gets, clued in and involved. Because we're pretty much starting over. We've 2/3 of our staff, our giant staff of 3, 2/3 of them are new.
Okay.
So you might
So
be
that prompts NRRA to let Ryan get settled in, and then we will reach out and just have a conversation, or just talk to him about what we can offer, what we already do together, and that's important information for us to know. So that we want to be that first call, even if, if we don't have something that we're doing, we know typically who can help. So we're happy to have him reach out at any point in time, or any of you.
Great. Who would be his point of contact? Is that you or Brian?
Either one.
Okay,
Yeah.
either one's good. Great. Thank you.
As far as what you said about the size of your community and is it worth recycling, are other towns doing it? Definitely. I ran Littleton, which has a population of around 6,000. I ran Lancaster with a population of 3,000. Both of them are great examples of being able to recycle as much as we can while keeping it, for the most part, pretty cheap for the taxpayers. I always prided myself in Littleton. I had a lower budget than the library. So, and our recycling rate was around 40%. So that's pretty good, pretty high number. So
Something that,
and we have.
I just had something on my mind that, I don't know if it's been brought up, it probably has, but do any small towns cooperate on forming a truckload? If we're only producing, 2 bales in 6 months, it's gonna take us a while to fill a truck. Can we cooperate and have the truck go from Ospey to Madison to Tamworth to Sandwich and make a load? Is that kind of thing ever happen?
Yes, so there's a couple different ways, like what we call a milk run, which happens a lot with tires or electronics or plastics, where we hire a vendor, they'll go to a couple different towns to get that full truckload and then send it to wherever. The other option is we have a few vendors, companies that will come up, and it's almost a one-stop shop. So if you have 3 bales of cardboard, 2 bales of mixed paper, a box of books, a bale of plastic, they can combine it all to make a full truckload.
Oh,
So there's a couple different ways we can do it.
good.
Are you thinking that, Carl, because storage being an issue over time?
Yeah, and just the length of time it would take us to accumulate a trailer truckload of
Yeah.
aluminum cans or whatever.
So I'm assuming that'd be a separate
No.
hourly contract with that agency that would do the milk run as opposed to our typical hauler?
It wouldn't necessarily be a contract or anything, but yeah, I mean, you could tell us what you have, and, our logistics team will kind of go around as much as we can, look for other people in the area, other towns, to try to fill that truck up. It's difficult if we do more than 2 towns at a time, just because of then it's who bails or who and stuff like that.
Right.
We do that with tires pretty good, but other things like maybe baled plastic is a little more difficult.
So we don't necessarily need a hauling contract, we just call them and they work it out.
Yep.
So that's
Yep.
simpler than a hauling contract, for sure.
Absolutely.
So there are other towns that you work with around 3,000 population that are separating and baling and storing and selling commodities.
As I said, I ran Lancaster, which is about a 3,200, 3,300 population. We would do a load, which is 22 tons, so 44,000 pounds of cardboard a month. And that's just a cardboard. Plastics, we would ship a split load with another town about once a year. A full load of mixed paper, maybe 4 or 5 times a year. Aluminum cans varied some, but yeah, I mean, we're able to generate quite a bit. Littleton has all the industry, so we were shipping out quite a bit more than that. You know, and then, once again, we have other towns which are a lot smaller than 3,000, which are doing a pretty good job recycling.
Mhm. So the smaller towns typically have one baler and they just have to store up the loose stuff and then bale it when they have enough? Or maybe they have two balers, one for cardboard and the other swaps between plastic and aluminum, that kind of thing?
You wanna speak to that?
And everything in between. We have small towns that just have one baler, haven't even put in a loading dock yet, but we make it work. And then they have a horizontal, a big baler, and one vertical baler, or they have a multi-baler system where they have 4 balers. So it's a combination of so many things, and I love the fact that the recycling committee has gone out and visited a number of different facilities to see what they're doing. We did compile some numbers as far as who's doing what we call source separated, what Brian was referring to, where the towns separate either into product to bale and to store and then ship, or loose product. You're familiar with that, where your mixed paper goes into one bin and it's not baled. And we looked at about 40 towns, and we looked at source separated, like you're all doing now. We looked at single stream, as you're aware, everything goes into one bin and it gets shipped out. And then there's the dual stream program, which you've got an open top container where you put all your plastics, your aluminum cans, your steel cans in the top, and then the other container is just your fibers. And then there's every combination that you could possibly imagine. So it really is it's your own evolution, I guess, into how you want to get from point A to point B, hopefully to recycle all you can, hopefully to store everything you recycle undercover so that it is good for marketing. So source separated, single stream, and the dual stream program, that is what we're seeing. Even during COVID, which was a very hard time, and it came together with mixed paper pricing being incredibly high, we saw just a handful of towns decide not to recycle anymore. Most everybody else just kept on going, and that says a lot for the commitment to those recycling programs. Brian, I don't know if you want to talk. Oh, I did want to mention single stream pricing, because we're constantly talking about value per ton or cost per ton. So right now, if you had a ton of cardboard, it's valued at about $120, $130 a ton. That's good money on the market. But if you look at single stream, the cost of that right now is between 114 and 178 per ton. And we're not even talking about trucking. We're just talking about the cost to take that material to a facility to get it separated back out again.
And
So
you're
that's
paying
where the
them,
source
they're not paying
separated
you.
comes in. Yeah.
It's correct that for single stream, I was surprised to recently learn that you're not getting paid for that. You're paying them to take it.
Yes, you are. You're what we call paying somebody to unscramble the egg. Because they've got optics sort, they've got people, they've got robotics now doing that work, baling, marketing that material out the other end. So the more that you can do as a community, and I call it being in charge of your own destiny, the more you can do that on the community level, the better that the options are for that. And that's again where we come in. We can look at the various vendors, the various specifications for material, and we can advise what's the best way to go for that certain material. Simple thing just to think about is steel cans, food cans. Right now, many of our communities are just putting those steel cans in with their scrap metal. Sounds really simple, but they're not having to deal with that one commodity. So there's a lot of things that are going on that we're, again, learning from other communities to do. We did a little bit of an analysis. You want to just run over a little bit of that, Brian, with the towns town programs between population of 2,000 and 5,000.
Yeah, we can do that.
Kind of looking at that source separated versus single stream percentages.
Yeah.
Do you have it in front?
Yep, I'm opening it up for you now. Just a second.
And Brian and I love to look at the numbers, but the numbers are showing us what are our communities doing. And to be able to narrow it down to a small population base, we learned a lot.
Yeah. As I said, we looked at, just to prepare, and we were curious. We looked at 37 New Hampshire towns, about your size, anywhere from 2,000 to 5,000 for a population. 62%, so 23 of them, were actually source separated. 4 of them were that dual stream, and then 10 of them were single stream. So it is kind of split up pretty well. A lot of them source separated, have been like that for a while. We've even seen a couple of the single stream lately kind of go away from that just because of the price, and try to go back to source separated. So yeah, as I said, it's about 62% source separated, 38% either dual or single stream. And you have to look at it kind of both ways, and a lot of it depends on the town. I have over 20 years working at a transfer station. I was really into the numbers, and I looked at single stream, and for my communities, it never really worked out. For another community, they may look at, it costs more to recycle single stream, but you don't have the balers, you don't have the storage, you don't need, most of the time, as much labor. So you kind of have to look at it and run the numbers and see what works best for your town.
Well, where is the nearest single stream processing facility? Is that the one in Charlestown, Massachusetts, or is there one closer?
Charlestown, Eagle, Maine, may be a little closer to you guys.
Yeah.
I know Madison drives actually their own single stream right to Eco Maine. So I mean they're probably pretty close mile wise. I'd have to look at that for you, but one of the two.
Yeah, and I think that could be what keeps the price so high, is we're pretty far from where it needs to go. I'm just guessing.
Yeah. Yep. A lot of towns like Tilton, for an example, Casella does have it's not a MRF, a material recovery facility, but it's a transfer facility. So they'll take single stream, put it in a larger container, and then ship it down to Charlestown.
Yeah.
Brian, I pulled up Lancaster transfer station here on Google Maps, and I'm taking a look at the layout. It looks like there's no giant storage building. Maybe I'm wrong. There's several different buildings laid out. One of our big issues is we don't have a baler, we don't have a large storage building, so it's a large initial upfront purchase. Can you talk to us a little bit about maybe the storage options that you use in Lancaster or that you see around the place that don't require a large single building to store the commodities?
Yeah. So a lot of it depends on how many different commodities you want to recycle, right? You have, in Lancaster, we recycled quite a bit. So we did mixed paper, so you need a trailer for mixed paper. You do cardboard, so you need a trailer for cardboard. Then we also separated the plastics into 3 different categories. A lot of towns do what we call a 1 through 7 mix. So once again, you combine it, you get less revenue, but it's a lot of time saved on labor, and also you need less storage. So you have to weigh those. In Lancaster, we almost had too much storage. I hate to say that, but we had storage for a little bit of everything. We also stored some items for the highway department. So when they would get their calcium chloride for the year, you know, it comes in those big canvas white bags. You know, we would store a year's worth for them at the transfer station just because we had the room.
So you were storing in
So
trailers
we worked
mostly?
out.
Yeah, I think all those trailers.
So trailers, you were doing trailers for storage?
Yeah, so we had a couple different trailers,
Oh, there
and then we had a bunch of shipping containers, overseas shipping containers. So,
And you were loading those with a skid steer, I assume?
yep,
they are. So I guess that's one of the big choices is you still need a building for a workspace and a baler, but then you could have a smaller building and just have some trailers nearby. Because most things need storage. I don't think the cans do, but plastics do, papers do, etc.
yeah.
And even the
Oh,
cans
yeah.
is probably better to have those out of the rain as well.
And we discourage you putting your cans out because they do collect water. It's like they're just a big old sponge, and everything that we send to market, we need to take a picture of. And that's new within the last, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 years, where, I mean, these are commodities, and our vendors are looking at how long have they been there, have they been sitting outside, and it may change the price of what they're going to offer for that material. I wanted to mention a cooperative purchasing program within our RA. We work with Page Street over in Canada, New Hampshire, and we can sell the town's used overseas shipping containers, used trailers. I just gave a quote to Wilton for 3 storage trailers. So we have used equipment that we can give prices for if you wanted to look at that sort of thing. And then if they're going to be used for storing recyclables, there's New Hampshire the Beautiful grants for those. So it's a nice network. So that's an option to be thinking about too. One thing we've seen with some towns is taking 2 overseas shipping containers, putting them on ground level, setting them apart from each other, and building a roof above them. So you have storage underneath for maybe your tires, maybe your refrigeration unit. So really getting creative with the space. So that's something to think about as well.
Because Rick is ready to go build something else right now, right? He's our maintenance guy who just came in before you and gave a long talk about all the building he's been doing, which has been amazing.
It's good to hear about the trailers and containers, because that was my next question, is where do you get those? And it's good to know there's a market out there for them.
Yep, and we would, when we were looking at the source separated versus single stream and so on, one community kind of bubbled up to the top, and that's Northampton, New Hampshire. They have one baler that they use pretty much for everything that they bale, and I can give you that information if you're interested with the operator there. Like, he'd be happy to talk to you about their experience, how they pre-store material, how they store their bales before they go to market. They produce some of the most pristine bales that I've ever seen in this industry. And he mentioned some vendors that can sell used balers. So that's something you want to look at. And Brian and I have worked with balers enough to know that some of those used ones are built far better and far heavier than the new ones that you can get on the market now. So if I were an operator again, I would be back there looking at the used balers as a potential for purchase. He said that there's even one vendor that he would recommend that gets it up to manufacturer's specs again. So it's almost a new baler. It's been gone through tip to toe. So there's a lot of networking out there, and if you have specific questions like that, we certainly can make those connections.
We had a quote from the solid waste planner with the LRPC, Lakes Region Planning Commission, for a company in, I think it was Alabama, that sells reconditioned balers. So we'll find that and maybe share that with you and see if you've heard of them. I think it was like $12,000 for a 60-inch baler. That's what I recall in my head.
Yep. You want to stay with a standard size bale so that those are marketed anywhere.
Mhm. I don't have any more questions. I don't know if any other members of the public might have questions for NRA.
I might ask a question. In Lancaster, how big was your building that you bailed in?
How big was the building?
Right, that you did your bailing in?
Yep. So we have, in that one, we have a used oil furnace. So we would collect used oil at the transfer station, so it didn't cost us anything for heating. We had 4 vertical balers. So we had 2 for cardboard, 1 for mixed paper, and then 1 we would like alternate between newspapers and plastic bags. And then we had an addition, I say a few years ago, but it's probably 8 to 10 years ago now, with a full break room, a full bathroom with a shower, and an eye wash station, and an office. So it was pretty big. I don't, off the top of my head, know the dimensions. But it was nice with having that multi-baler system, so we could always stay caught up with some of the material, so we didn't have to have all that pre-storage space that is needed elsewhere.
Mm-hmm. For the loose stuff.
And what was your operating budget?
So we were pay as you throw, so we have the town bags. They were $1.50 a bag at that time. It has increased a little bit since I left. It was after, you take the expenses minus the revenue. It was about 250,000, and that was with 2 full-timers and 3 to 4 part-timers at the facility.
Thank you.
I think we're
My
halfway or
perspective was from New Boston, and we had a 60 by 40 foot metal roofed recycling building with 3 balers, and our budget was almost 300,000. And that doesn't count the revenues coming in from that material. I'm talking 20 years ago, but I don't think there's been a lot of change that way. You'll see the budgets don't really, they do kind of stay steady. I was listening to the police officer, and all of our recycling centers are struggling with staff as well, and you just feel that problem. And that was, New Boston was a town of about 4,000. So Brian and I have had similar experiences, but I've never run a horizontal baler.
What's, with a transfer station budget, once you're set up, once you have everything you want, the expense budget is usually pretty steady. It's that revenue budget which will go up and down because recycling is a market. It's the heartbeat, and it just constantly goes up and down. You'll have your bad years. Last year was a pretty rough year for recycling. This year it's completely different. It's cardboard is up, mixed paper is up, most of the plastics are up. And so it's completely different. For cardboard, I've seen it at a revenue of $300 a ton. I've seen it at a revenue of $20 a ton. So that's always the tough part about a recycling centered budget.
And how much of your time as the administrator were you spending looking at rates and shopping around? Was that full-time job basically, or?
No.
Okay.
No, because honestly, we didn't use the NRRA for everything, but it was nice to be able to use them for the things we did, because I knew they would get me the best price.
Okay.
For other things, I would, like for cardboard, didn't have a contract, but, you know, we had a deal with a mill where we could get a pretty good price, and, you know, they liked their material, so they knew once a month they could just come and grab the material. So that was nice. They actually liked their material good enough where they decided to become a vendor for the NRRA, and now they're actually a vendor. So that's kind of nice. So I mean, it's, you know, you find those companies you work well with.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You know, and every town is a bit different. You know, I mean, some towns are required to reach out to as many or, you know, companies and try to get that best price. And that's the one thing about the NRA is we try not to have just one vendor we go to. You know, we were just getting some prices for one town, and we ended up shopping it around over different paper mills to get the best price for the town. Usually they're pretty close, but they ended up being, I think, a $15 per ton swing between the lowest and the highest.
We've never really taken much advantage of the NRA services, and I think, I mean, knowing that you're there, if we really get in the business of baling and storing and then selling commodities, having somebody else check the market, that's, because we don't have a lot of staff, so having you there will be very, very valuable for us, I know that. Because we've got one full-time person and 2 part-time.
Yeah. One of the things I do is I'm very involved with the markets for the Northeast. So every month we put out a monthly market report that members can actually look at and just kind of keep track of how the markets are doing. I've always liked it. That helped me when I was a manager. We will reach out to your new people and make sure they can have access to that, just to keep them informed. You know, it's to me that's we all know how it is. Transfer station managers are probably the most visual managers for a town. So, you know, we try to give them as much information as we can, so when they get asked a question, they can give the right answer.
One of the big decisions we're facing is we don't have a building, so we need to figure out how big a building can we afford, and can we afford to operate it. The other, my last question I have is the other choice we have in front of us is we don't have a scale. What percentage of transfer stations have scales? Is it 50%? Is it 90%? Because it seems like something that we really need to go into at least the 20th century.
Not many have a truck scale. The towns that do absolutely love them. Ashland has a scale. Guilford has a scale. Those are really used for the construction and demolition debris.
Yep.
You know, you go in, because I don't know how, do you guys take C&D at your facility?
We do, and you just eyeball the price, and it's very subjective. So I'm surprised. I would assume that a majority had a scale, but you're saying it's the minority had a scale.
Yeah.
Huh.
A lot of towns have a floor scale where they can weigh up, you know, if they bale cardboard, they can weigh up the bale.
Yeah.
You know, it's good to 5,000 pounds. In Lancaster and Littleton, we had a floor scale. We also used it to weigh up electronics.
Mm-hmm.
So we can at least charge by the pound, so we know. So we're being fair to the taxpayer.
Yeah.
You know, but same thing. You know, we would eyeball, and you know, we would lose money sometimes. We would gain money sometimes. It was, you know, there's a what I like to call a guesstimate.
Yeah.
We've talked to a bunch of different operators in this research process, and those who have experience going from no scale to a scale all shared that they had like an exponential increase in revenue by getting a scale to some astonishing amounts, and LRPC validated that too, talking to Matt Rose. Do you have any thoughts on that? Does that
I
make
can
sense?
jump
I had
in
the
with
choice.
Ashland's experience. I mean, they said they paid that scale in 2 years.
Right.
And Ashland is a tiny town, and it's a very small footprint for the transfer station, but they made it work. Again, Craig over at the road agent in Ashland would be happy to share that, because for him, it's a very, very huge success story. Yeah, but I think it's that initial price tag that keeps people from going that next level. But it's a very fair system to charge somebody by the same amount or the same scale weight as you charge the next person, the next person, the next person.
We have, on our website, we have what we call toolkits. And we have a section just on scale. So if the town is really interested in looking at a scale or not, if it's worth it, that toolkit is a very good resource just to look at.
Well, thanks. I have no more questions.
Any other questions?
No.
No, it's been great, thank you.
Thank
Thank
you very
you.
much for the
Thank you.
info.
Feel free to
Thank you.
stick
You're
around and
welcome.
enjoy the rest of our exciting meeting if you choose to. I think we are going to talk a little bit more about our transfer station, but we do appreciate your input. It's been invaluable to us.
Thank you, keep up the good work.
Yes, thank you.
So one of the things that we wanted to get today was some cost estimates from Sanborn Head on a variety of things. And we do have cost estimates, and they got here about an hour ago. So we haven't had much time at all to read them. So I don't think we're in a position to make much in the way of decisions tonight, but I will give you sort of an overview. The plans you have in front of you, these are the two plans they sent us in mid-June that were just purely conceptual. I'm going to pass this around if anyone wants, you can keep it. It just shows, hey, can you fit a building on the site where the brush pile is to do recycling in and to do any of that other kind of work? Because there's no indoor space to do any work at this facility. So one is a 60 by 60 building, the other is 70 by 70 with a bump out to the rear. So they both fit. So the first question was, is there space to build a building? So the answer is yes. It does displace the brush pile. And the next question was, well, how much does it cost? So the cost estimate came in. I've only looked at the top line numbers. I haven't looked at the detail. And they said, well, which building do you want a cost estimate for? I said, well, I guess do the big one, and then we'll figure out if it's too much. And that was, like everything else that it seems we find cost for, is way more than I ever thought it would be. It was something like $1.2 million.
Yep. Almost 1.3.
And I have my doubts about the cost estimates in general at this point, because their cost estimate for a bathroom addition on the existing compactor building was almost $200,000. And I just will not accept that as reality. That just cannot be. I mean, it's a bathroom. First of all, I think the size they chose was too big. It was, 20 by 16 or 20?
12 by 16.
12 by 16. And I know from talking to our architects, you can build an ADA compliant bathroom for less than 10 by 10. So even if you just pick 10 by 10, because I can do the math, the building is, the space they chose was too big. So I have my doubts about the cost estimates. The trouble that I'm having psychologically with making the decisions is every decision we might make gets in the way of some other decision. The first one is we all want a bathroom. That's the only thing I'm sure we all agree on. Is we all want a bathroom. Simplest thing is build it on the addition to the existing building you have. The trouble is, and I met on site with an architect and he confirmed this, is if you're going to build a building and you're thinking you're building a new building, it makes a lot more sense to put the bathroom in the new building than to cobble it onto an existing building that may or may not be properly built or insulated. So if we bump ourselves over to deciding what kind of bigger building do we build, okay, what happens to the brush is a whole nother decision. If you put a building, you can't put the brush there. either we stop doing brush, or the brush goes down below, in the area down below. Okay, that makes sense, but if you have a brush pile down below, you all know what's gonna happen. A lot of brush is gonna show up in the brush pile, it'll be unsupervised, and who knows what's gonna be mixed in with the brush. That's my fear.
Yep.
So you'd have to put a fence across it. And then you still might have a lot of brush piled up outside the fence, I'm not sure. So every little thing has its impact. The other is, if we want to scale, and I think if we can afford it, we should have a scale. Does it go down below or does it go up above? Up above is very tight. It fits up against the hillside, but it limits your space next to the containers. So it's best to move the hillside back a little. Well, moving dirt costs a lot of money, as we've seen. So I think it's hard to know how we make decisions when they all have, every decision you make requires you to make another one. And the cost estimates we have, in my opinion, aren't worth much right now. So I think we need to dive into the cost estimates and understand why they're so high. And if we need to, fund somebody else to give us cost estimates. But
Is the cost estimate, does that include like the equipment in the building or just the building itself?
Just the building as far as I know.
yeah,
What size building is it?
70 by 70.
70 by 70, so it's a big building.
Is that like insulated with like heat and everything, or is it like cold storage?
I haven't read the details, I've just looked at the cover memo.
70 by 70?
70 by 70.
Yeah.
So does it have heat? I assume it has heat, electricity. It includes the office, the office costs money. I don't know if that price includes a bathroom in the building or not. Again, I've only looked at the top of it.
That's
It's still, it's
Compared
absurd.
to like projects that I've
Yeah.
seen and been around over the last couple of years, just
Yeah.
way out of the water.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's like, it seems like double what I thought it would be. The bathroom is at least 4 times what I thought it would be. So we definitely need to dig deeper into the cost estimates. What I do know is we have to have a plan in place by the end of this calendar year. The ARPA money has to be committed, and we have to take a vote, and I'm going to make a motion tonight to do it, to extend the town meeting authorization for 1 year. Because the town meeting authorization in 2022, it expires at the end of this year if we don't use it. We have the authority by law to extend it 1 year. And I've got the wording from our attorney as to what you do just to extend it. So, no matter what, we need all of this year to get a plan together and next year to build it. So if you want to build something next year, you need to design it and bid it out this year. And the design bidding process, that's a few months right there. So I think we need to make decisions in the next month.
Yeah, I would agree, Richard. And because we're looking at these cost estimates, I think the first thing that comes to my mind is, do we want to continue working with Sanborn Head to give us cost estimates?
That's what I was thinking.
I think they're really good designers. I don't know if they're good cost estimators.
Right.
So we need to figure out, who else would we turn to now who that
Right.
just yet.
I don't think you'd have to worry about the cost coming in over their cost estimate.
Which is, I think, why they're so high. They're afraid to be, that they'll undershoot.
And this also, from reading the email quickly, this also doesn't include septic, putting any of that in.
Yeah, and-
It's just the building.
Yeah.
And the price might change based on foundation
Right.
needs, so
Yeah.
I don't know what the number's based on.
The way I look at it is that any of these plans, we're not gonna be changing where our main compactor facility is. So
Yeah.
even if the bathroom isn't attached to the current building, if that causes logistic issues, we could use that space that I've presented a couple times, I think, on the screen, that grassy area behind the main building,
Yeah.
and build it as a standalone building.
Yeah.
And personally, I think that because we have no clue how much a standalone building is gonna cost, for the storage rather, that holding off on that, while I agree, it makes a lot of sense to put it if we're gonna do that larger storage building. We don't even know if that's gonna happen. I would like to see the board vote for a building either standalone or attached to the current transfer station building to get that bathroom going.
Yeah.
And get the septic, and if we don't go with Sanborn Head, so be it, but
So my initial thought was in the grass area behind the building, so that's what you're thinking as well. One of the problems with that is, it's a bit removed from the site, and if somebody has a need to use the eye wash station, they've got to run around the back of the building. It's better than it is now, since we have a portable one that's upstairs above the compactor, but ideally it would be closer to the workspace. And I don't know if there's room to build the bathroom to the right of the office as an attachment there. Then it's in a better spot. The trouble is then traffic flow. Can you get the trucks by around the building?
One of my thoughts is that the eye wash station, as far as I know, doesn't have to be contained inside a bathroom, it could just be in the office. So if we're running
Yep.
water lines up there anyways, we just continue forward and put the eye wash station in the current office.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the grade to the right of the existing driveway by the building,
Mm-hmm.
it's a really similar grade, it's off by like
Yeah. It's pretty flat.
0.2.
Yeah, it's pretty
So,
consistent.
I mean, you could bump that corner out a little bit, so to make room to go around the addition where the existing office is.
I think if you had the addition to the right, I think that there'd be room to reroute the driveway a little bit. I mean, you'd be able
Probably
to
have to
keep
pave
that.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think it, like,
especially with the smaller storage building. Crowded to the back of the lot.
accessibility wise, I think that it would work well there, having it at the same level
Yeah.
and attached to the current building.
Just match the roof line maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but, everybody's kind of working up top there, so to try to avoid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right now they just park a couple of their trucks right there, I think.
Right,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
mostly
And
to
those
block
could be-
people from driving behind.
right,
Yeah.
but I mean, that would, the bathroom would take more space than 1.5 trucks.
Right.
So Willie, do you have any thoughts on the possibility of a bathroom attached to the compactor building?
Well, I mean, in the long run, you really want to have your bathroom and your eye wash station inside your new building. So that would, if you build a new building, you'd want to have it in there where you're actually doing the work and may need those things. So then if you do put another building up there, then you're not having your eye wash and bathroom in a building where people are working. Just as part of it, I haven't had enough time to digest what Sanborn had sent. It's a lot of data that needs to be looked at. The Transfer Station Improvement Committee is going to have a meeting on the 21st. And at that meeting, we would like to be able to put a recommendation to come to the Board of Selectmen and say this is what we recommend to do. And you guys can make a decision whether that's the best deal or not the best deal. We've got to look at how much money there is, we'll look at the whole picture, so in 2 weeks, we'd be back with a recommendation to you.
So not to put more in my own corner, I guess, towards building a standalone bathroom, but personally, I feel that there needs to be a deeper study as to the financials, as what it's gonna cost to build the building, staff the building. The staff being the biggest problem that we have, having to pay employees, buy the balers, everything else. And I haven't seen, the numbers that I've seen have been anecdotal at best. I haven't seen anyone take, for instance, the waste that we shipped, the commodities that we shipped out last year as cardboard, and figure how much that would turn into bales, how many bales that would have been, what we could have sold it for, and then run the delta between what we got for it at our current contract with Ernesto stacking everything nicely versus what it could have cost in a bale at the same given time. And I know that that's a lot of information to try to compile in a short amount of time. And I feel like if we wait another month to make a decision on this, the bathroom kicks out another exponential number of months.
I
And
can
the
answer one of
only-
those questions.
Sure,
very,
but just a
very
second,
quickly.
the only problem is that I don't even know if we do end up with a baler, if we're gonna have it in a large building, and if that building's gonna be heated, the idea of stacking shipping containers and putting a roof over it, that could be a heck of a lot less than $1 million if we're trying to just store bales, and that's then not gonna be a building that we would put a bathroom in. So with all those unknowns, the only downside that I see to putting a bathroom in the current office site is that it would not be attached to the new building where we're working now. But I don't see that as a reason to continue to not have a bathroom and an eye wash station at the transfer station.
Valid point. Cardboard costs us money right now. It would be cheaper if we put the cardboard in the MSW and shipped it to the landfill.
We get a credit back from Waste Management on the cardboard, and that credit does affect, while we don't get positive revenue from it, it reduces our Waste Management bill.
I did a lot of the studies that you're talking about. I've gone through all those numbers. I did it 2 years ago and I put it all together.
As
We're
part of the
losing
town
money
meeting.
on the cardboard. It costs us money to do the cardboard the way we would
And it's gonna continue to cost us money to bale it, to pay for baling wire, to have someone staff it, to have someone that's off the hours of the regular operation run the baler. So the
What if-
numbers that I've seen have not
I'd really like to
been-
have time to digest the information from them, but
What
you
if,
guys
um,
do what you
Perfectly
need to
fine,
do.
I haven't seen numbers that give any kind, I've seen anecdotal numbers at best, I haven't seen any concrete numbers.
What if, just a thought here, I don't know how the grades work and you'd have to have a septic design to show it, but if you put the bathroom, attached a bathroom to the current building that we have now, and then you had it planned so that when, and if you built a future building, it was as simple as putting another inlet into the septic tank,
You can
and,
repipe it.
and then, you know, and maybe even have the septic, it would still be the same number of employees, so I don't know that the septic would have to be designed any bigger than it would anyway, because it's not like a house where you're going off bedrooms. You know, it's going off number of employees and
Daily use of
usage.
the gallons, yeah.
So, it may be as simple as planning it so that you could have a future bathroom and eye wash station in this building. Maybe you don't when that time comes, but having it on the septic plan and saying future proposed.
So
go-
we go from
The
none to
septic
two.
would be the same. You would have spent,
Well,
you know,
Love it.
10 or 20 grand on
Yeah.
the building.
or maybe having
That-
it just an eye wash station in the, you know, having your bathroom across the way, but just having an eye wash station, but I'm assuming that would be required to be hooked up to the septic. You can't just have that running underground. I would assume.
But I think either way, you're gonna spend 10 or 20 grand to do an addition right now. But if the proposal that comes forward and the proposal we go with is to construct something new with the office and the bathroom in it, we are way down the road before we are actually breaking ground even. So we are like clearly mandated to get a functioning bathroom with running water last year.
And
So we have to spend money on a temporary solution or this addition solution, either way, to get us through to whatever might come. And I think we looked a year ago into what a portable bathroom with running water was gonna cost us, and that was tens of thousands of dollars. So either way, we're gonna have to spend money on a bathroom immediately. And it seems like we should be thinking about what's the way to do that that has the best possible transition solution if we do have a new building. But we've got to spend that money on the bathroom now.
And we may have to make all of our decisions in the next month or so.
Yeah. So I'm just saying, we
Yep.
can decide on a new building, and that could be the best way to go, and it could be the most advantageous financially, but we still have to do a bathroom right now.
Yeah.
We can't wait to build the
I
new building
agree.
for the bathroom.
I agree.
And then if we decided to go with this bathroom attached to the current building, who do we have design it?
The only people under contract is Sanborn Head. And again, I think they're good designers. I think they might be crappy cost estimators.
I don't know if we have them do a cost estimate, just put it out to bid
Why
after
can't
they.
we-
Well, I'm not saying we would.
Is that
I'm
possible
saying
to have someone
we tell them
just
to design it and put it out to
bathroom?
bid.
Yeah, I mean,
And
and then just put it out to bid, don't
Are we
even have it-
obligated to have them do the design?
Somebody has to do design.
Because I would
They're
not
the
want
only
to
people
show
under
anybody this
contract,
cost
so yes.
estimate if I was putting it out to bid.
Or we put out a bid for a new designer, which is a total
it's
waste
more
of
time suck.
That's
time
it.
suck. So, yeah, if we can have them design it to what, 10 by 10 or whatever the minimum ADA requirements for.
And we just put it out to bid. I think going forward, instead of wasting more time with cost estimates, it might make more sense, whatever decisions we make on the building, to just bid out a couple different size buildings and see what the prices are.
Yeah, because I mean, if you were going to do a bid on this and you showed people that were bidding on it this cost estimate, I feel like that's going
Yeah.
Yeah.
to throw everything right off. I mean, you're not going to get
Yeah.
accurate numbers. So,
But, and I know this was not the charge that Sanborn Head was given, but I'm sorry, I forgot what her name was, Bonnie?
Yep.
Who was just on? Bonnie mentioned Ashland, Matt Rose also spoke really highly of Ashland. Tiny town, small space, doing a lot in that small space. And I think I mentioned it at one of our previous meetings, that they have, their setup for their baler and some storage is kind of like a Quonset hut building
Yeah,
on
it's a fabric roof.
Yep, fabric roof, and Matt Rose has the information for the company that builds those, and it's on slab.
Yep, I think it's good for storage. I don't think they bale in it, but they definitely store in
I
it.
think their baler's in it.
Could be, it's not heated, I don't know if it has power, it would
Yeah.
have to have power to have a baler. I know it costs $100,000, so even what I would consider somewhat of a temporary building is $100,000 these days.
It's a pretty small
A lot
footprint.
less than $1 million.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
I mean, they're tight space, but,
So,
It sounds like we have some agreement that we need to just get a bathroom in now in a standalone building, is it possible?
Can we
that-
I think even if we're doubling, even if we end up building a new bathroom,
Right.
you need a bathroom now,
yeah.
so.
And I think if we attach it to the building, that our septic plan that we have can just be an amended plan.
Yeah.
If we go down on the grassy area, we're gonna have to get a new plan. Not that a couple $1,000s is gonna kill us, but still.
Yeah.
I mean,
And the septic designer, Mark McConkey, is waiting to hear back from me on where the bathroom goes. It's so, because it
Yeah.
requires then an amended plan.
yeah. So I make a motion that we go ahead and have Sanborn Head design a bathroom off the end of the current transfer station office building or compactor building.
Office.
Office building.
Second.
Any discussion? Do we need any?
Do we want to give specifics as to the size? I feel like every time we've given leeway, it's turned out to be bigger and more grand than we.
Do we want to say the minimum
do we,
ADA.
the mini ADA,
And
yeah,
ADA.
required with an eye wash station,
shower,
shower slash eye wash station and toilet?
Toilet, urinal, sink.
That's my motion. So
That's the motion I
man.
second.
Yeah. Any discussion? Hearing none.
I would add to that, if this passes, that we designate ARPA money for it, because the ARPA money needs to be committed by the end of the year.
That was added to my motion.
Can we do that?
are we,
Not really.
Continue to amend motions?
No.
there's gotta be a different, rescind. and
Somebody
start
want to
over.
make a motion? Can I rescind my motion and somebody start over?
Yeah, but before you do, let me ask a question. God, this has been going on for
How's
so
the
long.
notes?
How's it going, Michaela?
Just hang on, Michaela. Stop
It's
right
gonna
now,
be
Michaela.
Bathrooms here, you're killing me.
I thought that there was $64,000 already appropriated for the bathroom. 64,000?
I have no idea.
I mean,
Whatever-
no, we're talking
whatever
like
was-
2 years ago.
Whatever
It
was appropriated is in the total that we have.
There's money in the capital reserve,
Yeah,
which is probably in the $60,000 to
Right.
$70,000, plus the ARPA money, so you've got $150,000 to build a bathroom.
so the 64 was not the ARPA money.
ARPA's 100,000. We committed
For the
100,000.
So we're gonna use.
No, we committed 100,000 to the transfer station of
No,
ARPA money.
yeah, forget the transfer station, I'm just talking about the bathroom. There was specific money already designated for the bathroom.
And that's all part of the number that we have, which is about $1.3 million. It's all in there.
There's a capital reserve for improvements to the transfer station, I believe that has $60,000 to $70,000 in it at least.
Okay,
And that's in the 1.3
But
million.
we're gonna use the ARPA money for the bathroom.
I would, just because I know we have to use
Somebody
it.
wanna-
Yeah, so I make a motion that we engage Sanborn Head to design a minimum-sized ADA-compliant bathroom using the ARPA money meant to be attached to the current office building somewhere off to the right.
second.
I was gonna say right, but it depends on how you look at it.
Facing it to the right.
Say east.
It's not quite east.
We don't need to change the motion. Any did somebody second?
I
Second.
did.
And
Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, roll call vote.
You said abstains.
There, yes.
Schaefer, yes.
Prentice, yes.
Roberts, yes. 4 yes with 1 abstention.
You know what I know?
Yes, Bruno.
I know that I've been hearing about bathrooms for the transfer station for at least 20 years. There's still no bathrooms over there.
We're getting closer.
Oh, okay.
And
So I
I
guess
think,
you can get back to Mark McConkey on where the bathroom's going.
yep, I'll do that. And,
Although we need the dimensions so that you can put it on his plan. We said minimum.
yeah,
ADA.
Idea.
okay. I think it's probably based on the fixtures, or is it a square footage of the building?
It's, the septic's based on gallons,
Yeah.
Yeah, but
usage.
it's still on his plan would have to have
Yeah,
the
okay.
dimensions.
Yeah,
I'll talk to McConkey.
Where it comes out of the building.
I've been doing a lot of the interaction with Sanborn Head, and I'd be happy to have others help, because I'm finding it very frustrating, and I abstain because I think we should wait and make a decision on the bigger building, but I think it's really important we have a bathroom. If this is what it takes, I'm not opposed.
And I'm happy to continue with Sanborn Head on the discussion.
So I would hope that people can wait till after the TSIC meeting on the 21st. Our next meeting is August 22nd. And I think at either that meeting or early in September, we need to make
yeah.
other decisions on what we build. Like, do we build a scale, where does it go? And do we build a building, and what size?
Okay.
Where are we at now?
Wait, we're not heading anywhere yet. At your meeting, TSIC meeting, so one thing that I think is useful in making decisions for me is knowing costs. So the NRA people just, they were talking about refurbished balers and refurbished scales, and we've gotten lots and lots of input about costs, and will we have that information when we're trying to decide, do we get a scale or not scale? Are we gonna know?
I already know the cost of the scale. We got it from the scale people. That's the one thing I'm sure of.
Okay,
Yeah, I like
A
that.
scale is $60,000.
okay,
The work around the scale is another $60,000, so it's $120,000.
okay. So we'll
Which-
have that kind of number when we're talking the big
We'll
decisions.
put together whatever numbers we can.
Yeah, great.
And my fear is it will never quite be enough,
It will
because
never be enough.
there's always gonna be some, I couldn't tell you how much this building will cost to run next year.
Yeah.
Never mind a building we don't have yet.
Yeah.
So that's the difficulty of it. So I hope nobody says it's easy to get, because if it's that easy to get, then somebody else can do it.
Yeah,
Because it's not that easy, or you'd have it in front of you.
right, absolutely.
We know what we're spending now,
Yeah.
And it's too much, with no revenue.
and there's no revenue. So try and get some revenue.
Yeah.
That's the big thing. Otherwise, just keep doing what you're doing.
The other motion that I would like to make pertains to the town meeting authorization expires at the end of this year. And we can extend that authorization for 1 more year. Because, let's face it, nothing, even the bathroom's not gonna get built this year probably.
Right.
Let's be hopeful.
Might be,
Might be.
could.
Do you wanna make that tonight, or do you wanna
I'll do it right now.
do it right now?
I make a motion under RSA 32:7 that we extend the town meeting authorization for the transfer station improvements for 1 additional year.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Did you say yes?
Very yes.
Schaefer, yes.
Prentice, yes.
Roberts, yes. 5 yes, 0 no. Now moving on.
Thank
Whether you
you
like it or
for
not.
sticking with this, though,
Thank you
because
for our
it's a
audience
slog
member.
that you just keep going with.
Administrator report. Bank balance.
The bank balance is 5,100,028 and 580. And then.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Will.
I'll do that in the
Thank you.
signature file.
Thank you,
Okay,
Tina Gallery.
Thank you.
of course.
Moving on to the signature file. Make a motion to approve meeting minutes for July 25th, 2024.
Second.
Roll call vote.
You said yes?
Very yes.
Schaefer, yes.
Prentice, yes.
Roberts, yes. 5 yes, 0 no. I make a motion to approve the non-public meeting minutes for July 25th, 2024 under RSA 91-A:32C, Session 1, RSA 91-A:32A, Session 2, RSA 91-A:32C, Session 3.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Did you say yes?
Very yes.
Schaefer, yes.
Prentice, yes.
Roberts, yes. 5 yes, 0 no. I'm gonna lump some of these together. Make a
That's
motion to approve the abatement for map 201, lot 7, in the amount of $73. The intent to cut for map 420, lot 39, sublot 2, access road, Jackman Pond Road. Intent to cut for map 203, lot 27, access road, Mason Hill Road.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Did you say yes?
Fair yes.
Schaefer, yes.
Prentice, yes.
Roberts, yes. 5 yes, 0 no. I make a motion to approve the current use application for map 414, lot 64.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Did you say yes?
Fair yes.
Schaefer, yes.
Prentice, yes.
Roberts, yes. 5 yes, 0 no. What is PA 35? Does anybody know?
Their veteran credit removals, it was, the DRA said that we were supposed to be doing PA 35 when we remove veterans or elderly
So
exemption.
these are ones that are
If
no
people
longer.
pass away or they sell their house, so that lot's not exempted anymore, you take it off.
Okay.
So these are removing those.
This is the official
Credits.
paperwork to
So the
approve
PA
that.
35 is probably the name of the form or something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
Guess I got
Something
more.
I said.
Guess so, Bruno.
I make a motion to approve PA 35, map 202, lot 65, map 207, lot 9, map 208, lot 32, map 408, lot 30.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Did you say yes?
Fair yes.
Schaefer, yes.
Prentice, yes.
Roberts, yes. 5 yes, 0 no.
Emily, you're getting so good at this. That's good.
Next year, somebody else can get good at it. I make a motion to approve the municipality land use change tax bill form map 405, lot 10,
There's 3 of them.
block 2, map 405, lot 10, and map 405, lot 10, block 1.
Second.
What are blocks?
It's because it was a subdivision.
Oh, okay.
So the mother lot is the lot 10, and then
Yep.
the subdivisions are block 1, 2, and 3.
They're not children?
Basically, same thing.
Roll call vote.
Did you say yes?
Fair yes.
Schaefer, yes.
Prentice, yes.
Roberts, yes. 5 yes, 0 no. I make a motion.
We've done everything with
We did
payroll.
that. I make a motion to approve the payroll in the amount of $41,555.45.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Did you say yes?
Fair yes.
Schaefer, yes.
Prentice, yes.
Roberts, yes. 5 yes, 0 no. Why didn't we not? Accounts
I know,
payable.
why isn't there accounts payable?
We do have an accounts payable. It's right in front of me. This is the accounts payable. I make a motion to approve the accounts payable in the amount of $355,503.85.
5 what?
$355,503.85.
I second.
Discussion, the school for $306,126. Ambulance, $18,600. Lakes Region Fire Apparatus or Fire Equipment?
Fire.
Fire apparatus, I would assume. $6,000. So those are the big ones. So do I have a second? I do. Roll call vote.
Did you say yes?
Fair yes.
Schaefer, yes.
Prentice, yes.
Roberts, yes. 5 yes, 0 no. Select board update.
Household hazardous waste collection was in Moultonborough last Saturday. A total of 259 households participated. 27 of those were Tamworth residents. When we had the collection in Tamworth, there were 83 Tamworth residents. So a lot more turnout when you have it in your own town, but it was a big success. I get rid of a lot of stuff, so that was good. If you recall at town meeting, we passed the Community Power Coalition deal so that people can use Community Power Coalition instead of Eversource. And I just wanted to report to people that it's finally showing up on the electric bills. And if you look at your bill, which is almost as hard to read as your phone bill, if anybody bothers to read anymore, it does identify your electric supplier as Tamworth Community Power. I have a separate bill because the barn's across the street and I had to get 2 bills, unfortunately. So it was good for me to be able to compare and see that it finally has shown up in the bill. Since we made that deal, Eversource rates have gone up again. And Community Power waits till Eversource and then they set theirs. And there's even a greater divergence than there was before. So people in Tamworth are saving more money than ever before if they're on Tamworth Community Power.
We got the letter from Eversource telling us about the big boost coming up in August,
Crazy.
right before this went into play. Yeah.
So Richard, I'm on a different, I've already
yeah.
taken my energy off, and I was actually doing my normal price shopping, and I went on the Community Power website trying to find a way that I could apply, because I'm one of the weird ones that doesn't have to opt out.
Yeah.
Do you have any information for anyone else like myself that's looking to do that?
Our house, we have solar panels, we can't use community power either, only the barn can. Because Eversource hasn't figured a way to
Right.
deliver the data, and they are still having trouble with that.
Right.
So we're still stuck with Eversource for a
I'm
while.
not talking about solar, I'm sorry, I use Direct Energy as an outsourced supplier, and it wasn't clear to me on the Community Power website where to go to opt in.
Yep. So your contract is up then, or you haven't?
I shop, I like to shop.
Okay.
For energy, apparently.
There's an FAQ on it, but Gabrielle's the person you need to talk to, not me. But there's got to be a way to opt in, because they're taking Eversource's business on it. But Eversource makes most of the money by the delivery charge because they own the wires anyway. So it's not like they're going out of business anytime soon. Even though it'd be fine with me if they did. But that's all I got.
And I have nothing to report.
I wasn't ready. I am ready. So I've been working with Thomas from our Lakes Region IT, and he had reported that our servers are a bit old. We're running a pretty old server, and if anyone does IT work, our OS on the server is 2008 R2, which is pretty out of date, and security updates and service packs are no longer supported for that OS. So we need to look at getting a new server as well as a few other machines around town. The IT audit reported that we're using Windows 7 on one of the PCs. I didn't see XP anywhere, that was amazing. So anyways, we're bringing in all that information and trying to figure out what it's going to look like for the budgeting season. So we can at least get our server up to date. Thankfully our VMs are all set and they're updated and backed up, so we're not worried about that. We have had drive failures in the past, and those other 4 drives I think on the RAID array are all the original server age, so those have a good chance of failing, and we don't want to have that happen. Thankfully, like I said, everything is backed up and recoverable from the cloud. That's what
Has anybody else noticed that my emails, external emails, are going in a lot of junk boxes?
Most
In the
people's
last month or
are.
so?
Pretty much everybody in town halls are
Okay.
right now, so like
I
you,
didn't even look to see if the word's
Microsoft
on
is
there.
having an issue actually that pretty much everybody was going into junk.
Okay.
So we have actually escalated it and we're going to Microsoft
Okay.
trying to fix
So I
this
won't
issue.
take it personally, then. It's not just me.
No,
Okay.
it's happening to the DRA, it's happening to the fire department, it's happening to all these domains, not just ours.
Is whitelisting of the domain working?
I have been creating rules in different inboxes, and that's the only thing that seems to work. But
Okay.
no one else is creating rules besides me and what I'm doing on Keats' computer to help her.
So we can help create, I can help create rules, or we can whitelist if things are going as planned.
Exactly.
So the sooner we know what our total need is gonna be for a big infrastructure overhaul, including cost, but systems, then we can start looking for grants to help, so that it doesn't all end up in either next year's budget or CIP.
Yep.
And I don't mind working with that.
He did give some preliminary cost estimates, so I will dig through this giant chain and.
If you forward it to me, like with whatever,
Sure.
We shot for a server at my last company 2 years ago, and it was $15,000 for a new server.
yeah.
So just be prepared; it is a large chunk of change.
Oh, yeah.
It's cheaper than a bathroom.
It is cheaper than a bathroom.
We've already got the money for the
Doesn't
bathroom
last as
though.
long as a bathroom, though.
Yeah.
That's it for me.
Next.
Next. LRPC is on break until September. Planning board is starting to explore ways to, like, what next year's work on the master plan is gonna look like. And so there's talk about a survey, the the 2008 iteration started with a survey, that the folks who worked heavily on the survey and the launching of the master plan said had a lot of faults that kind of skewed the results of the master plan, and we're gonna learn from that. But that's, if you have thoughts about surveying the town and how we can reach the most people and encourage feedback from all quadrants, that would be great. And then I went to the farmer's market for the first time this summer. And I thought that the cones looked super effective.
It's working great.
And I even saw our police chief walking down on the little sidewalk of cones. So that seemed like that was a good solution. People clearly aren't parking there, and it was wide enough to allow people to walk next to each other, but also not. And somebody had a baby carriage, but it didn't seem like it was diverting traffic too much into the middle. So that was great. Good solution.
Next.
Next.
I went to CIP meeting last week. They had quite a few questions for me. Nothing that stood out, but I wasn't at the previous meeting, so there's some clarifying points some I could answer better than others. They asked about the bathroom at the transfer station, and I said, I don't know. I said
Now you can
probably. I said realistically, probably not happening this year, but we're trying to get it going. They just asked about that.
It's gonna be the most famous bathroom in town.
Like the bathroom to nowhere.
Can we have a plaque on it with our names?
I don't want my bathroom black.
You know,
That's pretty much it for me. So moving on to public input. Is there any public input?
Why do they always look at me?
Is there any public input?
I'm the only purple public person here. Scare the others away.
Hearing no public input, I make a motion to go into non-public under RSA 91-A:3 2C Section 2.
Second.
Roll call vote.
You say yes?
Yes.
Prentice, yes.
Roberts, yes. 5 yes, you're no, we're now non-public at 7:48 p.m. I left it at Keats's field.
Oh.
Yeah, that's a nice DeWalt. Those are expensive batteries.
Yeah, I'm very well aware.
As long as the mower didn't go over.
She sent me a picture and was like, "Is this yours?" I'm like, "It sure is." It's 8:08. I make a motion to come out of non-public at 8:07 p.m.
Second.
Roll call vote.
You say yes?
Barry, yes.
Schaefer, yes.
Prentice, yes.
Roberts, yes. Minutes are not sealed. Motion to adjourn. Got the gavel back. Because I do
Gavel
so that.
back.
Here you go.